The A2986 steam train returned to service earlier this year. It was a highly publicised, exciting moment of one of the old steam trains to get it back to working condition, back running along the tracks it worked on over 50 years ago. Tim Harris is a fitter and turner for Steam Rail Victoria. He worked on restoring the A2986 steam locomotive.
Most of my family are either ex-workers of the railways back in the old steam days or just enjoyed the old steam trains. So of course I just sort of naturally followed really and got an interest myself and took off with it.
He talked to me about the A2986 and the steam trains which were running services back in the early 1900s when the A2 class of vehicles were introduced. Tim Harris says the train services were an exciting part of life when the A2 class trains were running.
Back then it was a whole new experience. It was different, and I think it's, along with many other people, we think it's just really important to keep that little part of history going.
The A2986 was a passenger train running services around Victoria to places such as Bendigo, Seymour and Albury.
The A2s were built for passenger trains, like the V-line trains. So it would have 4 or 5 carriages behind it, and it would run out to country depots.
After its time on a mainline service, the A2 soon switched to yard work and eventually to what they call fan tours.
When, people realised that steam wasn't going to be around much longer, they thought they would do special passenger tours with steam locos all around different places in Victoria. So it became, a fan engine.
These special fan tour services extended the A2986's service for another 5 years. It was eventually withdrawn from service in 1963. The Warrigal and District Railway Club purchased the A2986 to be stored at the park in Warrigal.
So he didn't really get to walk into the railway yard and go, I want that one. He only had 3 options.
Tim Harris suggests that the A2 was chosen because at that stage there were J-class and K-class steam trains already running around. The A2 class, which he says were important to Victorian Railways history, only had 5 left in Australia. Most of the A2 services were scrapped after 1963.
So he organised it, went in and saw all the people that he needed to speak to a bit from the Victorian Railways to buy the locomotive off them instead of it getting scrapped, to put in their park so that, people can see it and admire it for many years to come.
At this point, the Warrigal and District Railway Club couldn't raise the funds to buy the A2986. The Warrigal Lions Club stepped in and they helped to raise the funds. The A2986 steam locomotive was purchased and taken to the Warrigal Park to be enjoyed by the Warrigal community for years to come.
If he didn't have the ambition to get it, we wouldn't know of its existence anymore.
However, its life wouldn't end in that park. In 1986, the A2986 was taken out of that park.
And then eventually Steam Rail Victoria realised its significance and thought, well, we really want to get that running.
It was to get restored as new, to make new trips, carry new passengers and see new places.
An A2 class locomotive, everyone felt that there had to be one running.
It was decided that the A2986 steam train, which at the time was being stored in the Warrigal Park, would be brought back to Newport Workshops, its birthplace, and it would be born again.
It was a very, very long project because it was all volunteers until the last about 5 years of it. And the volunteers are old tradesmen that used to work for the Victorian Railways as fitter and turners and boiler makers and very many different skills. So they would work about 1 day a week on it, just happily pulling it down, stripping parts and cleaning them up, repairing them. So then we got really serious with it and pulled the locomotive down to nothing, so boiler out, wheels out, and then got pretty serious with its restoration. And then, so as time went on, we got more parts done. We got, there was so much to do on the loco. Everything was just very worn out on it. Like the Victorian Railways ran it into the ground because, well, they had these new fancy diesels to take over its roles once it finally decided to call it quits.
They fixed axle boxes, which hold the wheels in the frames. They fixed the bearings, those big rods on the side of the wheels. They repainted, put in parts where some were missing, and they repaired the broken.
The locomotive actually had a massive crack in the frame that we had to, get analysed and welded up and many things like that.
The process took time, over 30 years to be exact, but the team at SteamRail Victoria, both paid workers and volunteers, old tradesmen who spent their spare time working on the A2986, they wanted it up and running for its 100th birthday. The timeline was November 14th, 2015.
We, really got into it and busted our hump to get the loco finished and, we were able to achieve that goal of getting it going for them.
The A2986 was brought back to life in time. It was named the Spirit of Warragul in a festival held in May 2017. It ran a service between Warragul and Traralgon, where the community came out to see the A2986 once more. Excitement was felt by the community to see the trains return. Tim Harris feels restoring steam trains such as the A2986 and the K160 SteamRail Victoria is working on at the moment is important.
So the benefit of restoring steam locomotives is to preserve history. I mean, they're such, when you work on them and work with them, they are such a unique machine, and it's a really special thing to have them operating for the younger generations to see.